Hello everyone, this is Gijs Olthoff from UNIFORM-Agri and welcome to this webinar, Basic Troubleshooting on Links. So in this half an hour we're gonna show some things that have to do with links, why people are calling us, what you can check yourself before calling us and some other things. So just for general information, you might have seen this before this week, but for the ones that didn't check in before, I hope you can all hear me by now. If not, for the ones that only see the screen, it should be set to computer audio to be able to speak and hear me. Also, if you have any questions during the webinar, please type it to the right of your screen. So there's an arrow there in which you can type your question and we will answer it later on. And also, there's the option to raise your hand right there. If you want to ask your question live, then I can unmute you and you'll be able to talk. However, for this webinar, we prefer you to save your questions for after the webinar, so there will be room for questions again, or type it here into the chatting box, so that we can answer them later on. And I think that's easier for this webinar because the scope of the webinar is quite small. It's only about links. All right. What will we shortly discuss today? We will go through why do customers actually call us when it comes to links and errors and such. A little bit about the Automate, Uniform, Service, and so on. Some helping programs that we use. And also, when you call us, well, what would we like to know from you? And just to be clear, of course, we want to help our customers and you as good as we possibly can. So please, whatever we say here, don't be afraid to give us a call whenever you think you need us, because we all benefit from having happy customers where problems are solved as quickly as possible. So we try to make it as efficient as possible, but that doesn't mean you can call us for issues or whatever. So please keep that in mind. So why do customers actually call us? That's of course for all kinds of reasons, but when it comes to links, most of them call us because they are missing something. So they might be missing milk yields or feed intakes or activity alarms in the software in Uniform, which should be available, and they'll see it in their software, and they'll ask us, well, why is that information missing, and well, what can you do about it? And of course, it can be the other way around as well. So information that has been entered into Uniform can be seen in the process computer. And also, just to be clear, when I'm talking about process computers, it's basically everything we link to that's not Uniform. So whenever we link to Lely milking robots or to Gia milking parlors or Dairy Master Bomatic, whatever brands, it doesn't really matter to us. We link to about everyone, and we all call them the process computer from Uniform's point of view. So it can be that the information that's been entered into Uniform can be seen in the processing computer. It can be in the process computer software itself that's on the PC, but it also happens frequently that a farmer calls us and says, well, I've been milking this morning, and cow 1, for example, um, did calf yesterday, and I'm pretty sure I put it into Uniform, but still in the milking parlor on my screen or on my milking point, it says the cow is still dried off, so it didn't calf at all. So what's up there? So then we need to investigate something like that. Um, Also, they call us not because they've seen something is wrong, but because Uniform says so. The Uniform says there's something wrong. The dashboard says there's something wrong. So then they call us. Well, that's of course pretty obvious, but we'll go to that later. And sometimes it's pretty obvious something is wrong because they're getting errors. They can get errors during the link. So when the link should run at a certain time through the automate, they'll get an error at that time saying what's happening and why the link can't continue. Or they might even get uh, errors during the entry of data in daily events or on the animal record, for example, because an integration, the difference between integration and the link. So an integration sends information immediately, whereas the link waits for an automate time. Um, so for an integration, for example, errors can pop up whenever they enter information. So if that happens, they'll call us and say, okay, I cannot enter information even in uniform. But then, well, based on the error they'll get, we can tell them, okay, it's indeed based on uniform, or it's an error that has its origin in the process computer because it cannot accept our information. So there can be all kinds of errors and reasons why people call us. And to elaborate on that, this is a really simple example, of course. There's the milk management, daily milk meter yields. I suppose everyone knows that overview. It's 2.5. And they'll say, okay, I've been milking 2 times today, but only for a few cows I have milk yields here. So what happens to the rest? So that's a quite easy example, of course, why why they might call you or us. Or it's about feed intakes. So the customer has feeding stations, and you can see that at today minus 7 days, so a week ago, he still had feed intakes over here. But as of the day after, I'm sorry, all the feed intakes are at 0. So something happened to there because well, you can be pretty sure that the cows actually came into the feeding stations. Or, like we said before, they might call because of missing information in the process computer. So over here, this is an integration with a Lely, and not all information has been sent to the process computer, to the Lely controller here. And in that case, we can show it in a synchronization screen, for example. But it could also be, like we said before, that the customer has been looking into his process computer software, like Westphalia or Dairy Master or some other brands, and they are actually missing the information there. Or when they are milking, then they are missing the information in the milking parlor. So there can be different places to look for missing information, and in case of an integration, for example, we will look over here. We will put our management to the left and the controller to the right, the process computer to the right, and see what information has not been sent, for example. Or they might call not because they've seen something off or something wrong themselves, but because we say so. So this has been in the software for quite a long time now. It will notify the customer if something is off, and it does it by the blinking red light at the top right, and also by monitoring the processes that should have been done. So the automate processes that should have been done will end up over here in the processes. And when it shows you a red one here, you can also see that something is wrong. And it says here feed milk interface. So that's what we call the normal links in uniform. It was set up at some point, but it never ran. Or it will show you the latest date that it ran. So then you can also see that something there is actually off. A short remark here. A small remark is that although that sounds very intelligent, so the software monitors itself, it's not as intelligent as we would like it to be, because of course it can check, well, did the automate run at all? Did it try to send information, yes or no? So it can check those things, but it can not check, for example, if the information actually ended up in the process computer. So did you enter a calving, and Uniform will know if the automate will try to send it, but it can't keep track if it actually was accepted by the process computer. So even if he has nothing to see, so there's no red light blinking, there is no um, automate error here, it doesn't guarantee 100% that the information is actually correct in the process computer, because that depends on a lot more processes. So it's a good indication, and you can say if it's actually blinking, if it's available here, something is wrong. But if it's not there, it doesn't guarantee that everything is 100% correct. So those are something that farmers can call us for, or can call you for, of course. Then the idea is, yeah, what do you want to check at that moment? So there are, of course, as you might have experienced, there are numerous reasons why information is not exchanged. And one of the most important features of the software of Uniform for this is the automate. So the automate runs all automatic tasks that can be done in the program in Uniform. But there are some things that can be handy to troubleshoot. So when normal links are being used, so again the difference between links and integration. This is for normal links if the information is exchanged. We have a report. It's called the Automate Daily Report, and if you want, I can show you later on live in the software where it's actually where you can find it. But it's found at the top of the screen in Uniform under Automate, and under Automate there's Automate Settings and Automate Daily Reports. So here it will show quite some useful information. First is that it specifies on the left, so next to the red arrow, if it's what kind of link it is. So normally when the automate is running fine, you should see all kinds of automatic links here with a date and time next to it about what has been done. So there are three types of links. The automated one, that's done on the automate times, so that's the normal functioning. There's a manual link that gets put here as well, and that's when someone actually went in the software to the links to the process computer and said, okay, I want to send like cow calendar information and feed amounts right now. So he actually clicked the button send instead of letting the automate run it by itself. The third option that can be used is an individual link. So when you will see that one, it means someone used the button that can be available in the daily events. So if someone pressed the button send to process computer in daily events after entering a dry off or a coffee, for example, it will show here as a individual link. So those three, manual link, automatic link, and individual link, are available here. So it will show you, of course, the timestamp. So when did the link run? And to the right, so for this specific link, to the right, it will show what has been done. So what did it try to do at least? So based on a screen like this, we can conclude, for example, that the automate didn't run, at least for quite some time, and then only when someone clicked on the link itself, not by the automate. So that's something we need to take into account. And when the link actually ran, it tried to send quite some information. You can see here. So for animal 1, 2, 7, and so on, data was sent to the process computer. In this case, it's a dairy plan by GIA. And you can see, for example, that for animal 2, the dry off date was Uniform was trying to send the dry off date to dairy plan. So it checked dairy plan, it saw that the dry off date was not available there, so then it will try to send it. So normally then the dairy plan will say, okay, that's fine, so I will accept that dry off date, and that's done. Then it can happen for example, that their plan says for whatever reason I won't accept this dry update, and then Uniform for the next link will try to resend the dry update. So it will again check the dry update is not there, so I'll again try to send it. So yeah, this small screen actually contains lot of information for troubleshooting links, and we use it a lot. So if the automate didn't run at all, there are some things you can check. First is the automate icon, small symbol that's next to the date and time in the taskbar. This small icon of the automate should always be visible. Whether a uniform is running or not, this icon should always be there. If it's always closes after you close the uniform as well, you better give us a call and we can see what's up. Also, what we see frequently is that when someone is using multiple forms, so multiple forms into in a uniform, when you go to the select form screen, the automate here should be enabled for all forms where it's necessary. So in this case, I hope form 2 doesn't have any automate tasks because the automate will never run for that specific form, only for the other ones. And also, two things here. This is the automate settings. So when you go to automate settings, you'll see all the automate tasks here at the bottom and the times. So the time triggers at the top. Then the time triggers here should all be in the right order. So you cannot put period A after period B, for example, then it will not work. So they need to be in the correct order. And also, something that goes wrong frequently is that the computer here, so the PC where the link should run, is set to the wrong PC sometimes, or even to a PC that doesn't even exist. So the PC name should be right there. So then it runs at a specific time on this PC. Then there's the uniform service. You can check them by going to Windows to run and then type services.msc or through the task manager. The uniform service is a small helping program that we use in Uniform, and it does a lot of things like communicating with the app and making reports, but it also is used for quite some links these days. And also the uniform service to the right, it should always be running, whether uniform is active or not. If it's not running, and it cannot be started, so you can usually start it by hand as well. When you start here to the left, or you can restart the PC. If it cannot be started somehow, then you better give us a call as well. And then there's the uniform start service a little to the bottom, and this one doesn't do a lot. The only thing it works for is it starts the uniform service. So the uniform service is the one that's actually doing all the work. The uniform start service just make sure the uniform service is correctly started, and that's all. All right, so I hope I gave you some points to look at whenever someone calls you and says, okay, I have errors in my link or something doesn't work. But like I said in the beginning as well, whenever when you're in doubt or you think this is something Uniform should know about, then please give us a call because we like to know as well when something is off. So whenever you call us for a problem with a link, well, what would we like to know when you call us? So what we like to know from you? Well, first thing, sounds a little easy, of course, but it's still true. We would like as much as possible in terms of information. It doesn't matter how small the detail might look like to you. It might be very important to us to pinpoint the exact problem because we've seen that more than once. That we've been looking for a problem maybe for more than days. Then after a couple of days, the farmer tells us, "Oh, but wait, a few days ago, I was actually going there and there, or something in my milking parlor was changed, and since then it actually happens. And well, then it could take us 5 minutes to pinpoint the exact problem and have it solved, maybe together with the farmer or with the manufacturer of the milking parlor. So, however small it might look to you, please give us all available information. And especially in case of an error, well, we would like the exact error, of course, whether it be a screenshot or through a bug report. And later, the bug report usually is better because it contains more information for us. And also, of course, yeah, what did the farmer do to get that error? So is that error reproducible, as we call it? And if so, well, what did the farmer do to get that error? And that's a very important task for you because a lot of times there's like a language barrier. So between the local language and English for us, and you're the link in between. So we need you actually to get most of the information from the farmer. So what did he do to get that error? Um, Also, it might sound very straightforward, but if he misses information, for example, the milk yields in uniform, is that information actually available in the process computer? And also, what I said about the language barrier, sometimes the process computer is set to a certain language and we cannot change it. So then we would like to know from you, is the farmer missing something in uniform? Then uh, well, is that information exactly available in the process computer so we can actually receive it? And to follow up on that, is the process computer itself working on a correct manner? And by that I mean, so the example I already gave, when the farmer looks into his milking parlor and misses the calving there, or sees that feed amounts don't get sent from the uniform to the feeding stations, for those kind of things, um, well, is the process computer actually um, processing the new information in a correct way? So we can send a new calving to the process computer, and it might say, "Okay, thanks, I will accept it and store it in my database." But is it then also forwarded, processed into the hardware of the process computer? So is the missing information, is it getting stuck between the uniform and the process computer? That's when we come in. But is the information stuck somewhere between the process computer software and the process computer hardware? Then of course we would like to know, but then it could easily be that we need to forward the information to the a dealer of that equipment, or maybe even to the manufacturer. So there are some things that we would like to know when you call us. So that was a really short overview, I think, of um, what we do, and what we would like to know, and also what you can do yourself. Are there any questions about what I've said so far? And if so, please type them in the questions. So, and I'll have a short look at the questions at the moment. All right, I've got some questions. One is a great one. It's the question is, does it help if we give you the cow numbers where data is missing from uniform or the process computer? So does it help us if we have the cow numbers with the information that's missing? And the answer to that is a big yes. So it's not the only information we would like, but giving us the information of which cow is missing, which information in which system, is really a big help to us. And also another question, also a good one, the automated times, and I'll show you in the software to be sure. So the question is, the automated times, do they need to be in a chronological order? And also the answer to that is also a yes. So in the automate settings, where we set up the links and the time, then these times, A, B, up until H, they need to be in a chronological order, yes. Otherwise, it can be that some of the links won't run. So yeah, that's also the answer to the latest question. Changing clock times over can create issues because the time that's not in the chronological order with the rest, in that case, can stop working. Um, then another question is, what is usually the link what we receive most calls about? And that's a really hard one to answer because I think honestly, when you take into account the number of installations of that link, then most of them are more or less in balance. So of course we have a couple of links that are not really used a lot. Um, so in that case, well, we also receive less phone calls about that one, of course. And the ones that have hundreds or even thousands installed, yes, that's one we receive more calls about. But well, taking that into account, the number of installations, we don't have much of a difference between the number of calls. Misunderstood one of the questions. It's not moving an automate time that creates issues. The question is about the daylight saving time. So does moving the clock 1 hour forward or 1 hour back, does it create errors? And most of the times these days, not anymore. Luckily, there are some process computers, and then I'm talking, like in the question about the Bomatic 2050, and also an old NEDAP system that's probably not in use anymore at your places. Um, for those process computers, they could give errors when the time was changed, so to the daylight saving time or back. And in those cases, the link could get stuck as well. And luckily, they're not used widely anymore, but it can happen from time to time. So that's for the Bomatic 2050 and the NEDAP VC3. All right. I don't see any more. There's
Alright.
still there's one question coming in now. In the automate, the question is, in the automate, are you restricted to the tasks that are in the list, or can you create personal tasks? For example, reboot a computer monthly. And the question of the answer to that is basically what's in the list here under new. You are restricted to this to run through the automate. But for example, to reboot a computer, let me see where it is. There's the Windows shutdown, for example, which you can use to shut down or actually reboot the computer. So there shouldn't be a lot of tasks that need to be done outside of the automate. Um, but still, whenever you want something, you are restricted to the list that's in there. And also, be advised that whatever you see here under new is restricted by your license. So the license that you have for your uniform software determines the list that you have here. So for example, someone that doesn't even have a link to a process computer in his license will also not see the link over here. And that's also for some other automate tasks. And then a question came in, and that's what if the processor, so the process computer, is left open during the link, like a milk manager does by Dairy Master. Also, that's really specific for certain process computers, so I cannot go into all the details. But in this example, like the milk manager, that's used by Dairy Master, and that's one that should always be closed before trying to link to it. And that's because the link by Uniform, the Automate, tries to open the software, the Dairy Master software, when making the link. So in that case, it cannot be opened two times. So if it's already open, when we try to link, it will give errors that the program is already opened. And also, this is the case for some other old NEDAP system like the VC4. But these days, most of the process computer software can just be active like normal whenever you try to link. A few exceptions are there.
Okay, thank you. It's almost half past, so we have to end this webinar. So we will thank you all for your attention. And if you have more questions, you can go to the question moment.
All right. Thank you a lot for your attention.